Hello, hello, Baltimore.
We can talk after.
All right, come on. I need a little bit more. I just came from California. Come on, B more. I've been wanting to say this for a long time. Charm City, right? My name is Rassam Bahati. I used to race bikes a long time ago and found some success on the bike from the streets of Compton. And I just absolutely love cycling. So when I was invited to come here and be a part of this event, of course, I said yes a million times. And we just want to welcome everyone to the Community Bike Jam. I got involved in the sport of cycling at a very young age, 11 years old to be exact. And so seeing young kids out here on bikes, not only to try to get them into racing, but to use it as a healthy lifestyle, a way of transportation. And bikes are just cool because you can see things you can't see any other place. So without further ado, I actually want to bring, before we get to that actually, this weekend, of course, Sunday is the big day. And I won't get into all the details about Sunday's race, but I'll tell you that I'm excited because when I was coming up through the ranks, these big events is what made cycling so much fun to me. So having it here in Baltimore is absolutely amazing. The world is going to be watching your state, your city this weekend. And so without further ado, I would like to bring up Terry Hasseltine, who is the president of Sports and Entertainment Corporation of Maryland. They're absolutely going to crush this event. It's your day.
Awesome, my friend. I turned it on. There you go. I learned the hard way. Thanks, everybody, for making it out this evening. On behalf of the state of Maryland, the city of Baltimore, the county, and all of our friends and partners that have helped bring this weekend to fruition, thank you for coming out to the first bike jam of the Maryland Cycling Classic, supported by United Healthcare. And check out all of our great sponsors up here on the front rail. Without them, we can't make magic like this happen. We are a proud organization to be kicking this weekend off with the community. Group just got back from being out at the schools, handing out helmets, giving out bikes. Thank you again to all of our partners for making that a reality. And here for the first bike jam in the inaugural Maryland Cycling Classic, supported by United Healthcare, we at the Sport and Entertainment Corporation of Maryland had a vision of what this could be. As you probably all know, this is supposed to be year 3 of this event, not year 1. Our friend COVID obviously kicked that back. So for us to be getting to this moment is monumental. So this weekend you're going to see a ton of activities. You're going to see a lot of bikes. You're going to see a lot of guys. You're going to see a lot of gals. You're going to see a lot of kids, all enjoying the healthy lifestyle of riding a bike in the most efficient form of transportation, as quoted by John Kelly of Kelly Benefits. So without further ado, I don't want to stand up here and talk. I want to get to the man who actually helped us bring this to fruition, made sure his team was available, made sure the resources that required to put an event of this magnitude. We're talking tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people converging on Baltimore. Baltimore, spending money, having a great time, enjoying Charm City, and making sure that we are the best city on earth. Make sure we're the healthiest city on earth, and making sure that the state of Maryland coalesces with everybody and make sure these partnerships work. So without further ado, one of my bosses, the mayor of Baltimore City, Mr. Brandon Scott.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you all for being here. Are you guys excited about the Maryland Cycling Classic? I don't think y'all are excited enough. Are you excited about the Maryland Cycling Classic? There we go. This is an incredible opportunity to showcase our city, our state, and our region. We are really excited that we're here. After Terry said, after we're 3 years late, but nonetheless, we are here. We are really showing that Baltimore is going to be the sports city for the Mid-Atlantic with the CIAA, with the AAU Junior Olympics coming to Baltimore, and the Maryland Cycling Classic. And of course, our Orioles are winning and our Ravens always win. We are showing how big of a city we are for sports. But it's not just about the race. Thanks to UAC, USA Cycling, Maryland Sports, and all of our event sponsors, we have an incredible event lined up for our residents. When you hear us talk about bringing events to Baltimore and the impact that it has on our city, not just the financial impact and the tourism revenues, we also have to make sure that it benefits these areas that are accessible to our residents, and the Maryland Cycling Classic is that. We have some true legends of the sports that are going to be involved with us tonight, celebrating cycling as we come out here. I'm going to get on my bike. Terry told me that I had to ride slow, which is hard for me to do, but I'm going to follow directions at least once. But This is about having fun, living a healthy lifestyle, showcasing another part of Baltimore, and again, showcasing how we are the best sports city in the Mid-Atlantic, and we want to be proud about that in all kinds of different sports. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the chairman of the Maryland Cycling Classic, Mr. John Kelly. Let's give John a round of applause. John and Terry first came to me about the Maryland Cycling Classic in 2019 when I was city council president. I told them I was all in and we were going to make it happen for Baltimore. But John, as the chairman, I think it's only fitting that you receive this certificate of recognition from me. On behalf of the citizens of Baltimore, I am pleased to present this certificate to the Maryland Cycling Classic in recognition of the inaugural Maryland Cycling Classic. The first event in its kind, the Maryland Cycling Classic will bring the world's best cyclists to Baltimore City for America's top professional race. This event will bring together families and cycling fans from across Baltimore City and our region to enjoy an evening of riding and learning about bicycle safety. On behalf of the people of Baltimore, I commend you for bringing this event to Baltimore and best wishes for a memorable weekend. Congratulations. Let's have a great Maryland Cycling Classic.
Thank you, Brandon. And the city of Baltimore, Brandon has been on board from the beginning. And we started this adventure in 2019 to start in 20. And COVID intercepted that a little bit, so we've delayed it a few times. So I am so excited to be part of this and to see this thing come to fruition. And I learned to ride a bike when I was a kid, and I remember just getting on my bike and feeling free and being able to ride down to the drugstore and get some candy and ride home. And then as I grew, I learned to race my bike, and I enjoyed that. And today I just ride for fitness and health. It's a great sport. It's a great way to get rest. It's a great way to think. Just ask Ray Lewis, who's one of the best football players to ever play, what he likes to do every morning. He likes to ride his bike. And I am so grateful, Ray, you're here with us as a friend and an ambassador and one of the great guys in this city. We're grateful to you. My family's here. My dad's out there. I see him, my son and my daughter. I want to thank them. But, none of this is possible without the city of Baltimore, the state of Maryland, Baltimore County, and our sponsors, particularly United Healthcare, who stepped up from the beginning through the leadership of retired CEO of United Health Group, Dave Wickman, and his wife, Ann, Joe Capente, who's the regional president, and Kathleen Wee, and so many others that have been vital to this success. And we have a great group of sponsors from Harbor East to Thorn Nutritions, who's here. We just have an incredible group of partners. Direct Pay, so grateful. BGE, Bank of America putting on this. So I'm real excited about this weekend. I think we're going to bring a fast and furious ride through our city and hopefully engender enthusiasm around the bike and see something special. So without any further ado, I want to introduce Joe Capente, the president of United Healthcare in our region. Wonderful man who's been with us from the beginning.
Thanks, John. I cannot believe this is a reality. I just want to thank Mayor Scott, John, Steve, Terry, Secretary Gill, everyone for making this happen on Sunday. I'm just amazed. So as John mentioned, I have the honor to serve our commercial business in the Mid-Atlantic region. And part of the 8,000 employees that live and work here in this great region, we have the honor to serve over 3 million members in this great region. But it has been awesome and truly privileged and an honor to be part of the preparation to make this an inaugural event in our great city. Just earlier, down the street at James McHenry Elementary, we had the opportunity to acknowledge 50 children for their demonstration, their commitment, and their overall perseverance to education through the pandemic. They were nominated on this through their teachers. Well, each one of those kids received a bike, a brand new bike, with a helmet, and we worked through the process and let them know how we can continue to have activity and how a bike in the community can generate fun activity. I was also joined by human-powered health professional cyclist Kyle Murphy, and he helped me give those bikes away. The reaction on those children when we opened that curtain to see the bikes, I'll just never forget. So, thank you for being here today. I look forward to seeing everybody on Sunday. And I'd like to bring up another United Healthcare leader, Kathleen Wade. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's wonderful to be here today and see all of you. It's just tremendously exciting to see that we have this amazing international cycling event coming right here to Baltimore City. Really, we are just so excited to be part of it. So between Joe and I, here in the great state of Maryland, we serve 825,000 Marylanders through our health insurance plans, ranging from kids all the way to grandparents. And it's just a real honor and privilege to be part of this race. We are promoting exercise. Cycling is a wonderful activity, right? And through all the work that Joe talked about today, we're just consistently out in the community promoting healthy living, activity, exercise, and everyone having and taking care of and being in their best health. So thank you, everyone.
So I feel like we're supposed to pump up some music right now for our next guest because we all know the famous entry song, we all know the entry dance, but today it's about cycling and this newfound passion in life. Our special guest here joining us today, NFL Hall of Famer, Mr. Ray Lewis.
Baltimore. Baltimore. Last time I screamed those words, we hosted a Lombardi Trophy. This time I'm screaming these words so that our city can host a different trophy. Each one teach one, right? I started this cycling world in 2010 when I broke my toe playing against Seattle. And I spent the next 3 years playing on a broken toe. And a friend said, you should cycle. It'll really help you. And I couldn't run. I had all of these dysfunctions with my feet. And I just couldn't run. And I started cycling. And the funniest story ever was the first day I got on the bike, 77-year-old guy passed by me. And he says to me, jump on, right? I didn't know what that meant, right? Get behind me. And I got behind him, and within 4 miles, my lungs were about to explode. And I asked him, I was like, what do you know that I don't know? And this is for my city. It's a lifestyle. Cycling is a mentality, right? Every day. I played the game of football, but I live to cycle, right? That's all of my motivations in life, right? Every day I get on a bike, it's times to meditate. And when you talk about mental health, when you talk about actually addressing it, it challenges mental health because it meets it right in the middle of the road. Sometimes when you're going through something, just get on the bike. And I promise you, you'll figure out how to get to that next pedal because that's the only way you get home, right? My greatest inspiration in the world is the reason why I call her every day. And I tell her, I said, Mom, she always says, make sure you're careful on these bikes. So there's no me without the one and great, my mother, right here sitting in the crowd. And my whole team has adopted the biking system. But I want to tell you guys this today, right? I want to end with this. We have a choice. We have a duty. I came to this city when I was 19 years old, and now I'm 47 years old. And I promised this city that God is going to do something great. Listen, I'm telling you, we must touch and agree that God is going to change the image of our city. But we control that, right? We really control that. And this is one of the first events that actually dictates that. Because when we get on these bikes, Saturday, I know there's a big race Sunday, but Saturday is going to be one heck of a movement for the city of Baltimore. This time we get to host a different trophy. Each one teach one. Baltimore forever. Thank you.
Baltimore, you're in for a treat here because we've got Olympians, we've got a podium placer from the Tour de France, we've got historic figures in cycling, and we're going to bring them up one by one. Rasan will talk to them a little bit, you'll get a little bit of their background, they're going to be hanging out all weekend with us. So for starters, I'm going to bring up the Cheetah, a man from Brooklyn, now living in San Diego. He left the East Coast. Nelson Bales, 1984 Olympic silver medalist, first African American to win a medal in the Olympics.
The Cheetah even has his own bike back here. That's a Cheetah. Here we go. We got to bring it up. Bring up the Cheetah. That's how he rolls. I've known this young man for a very long time. Seriously, we met at the Nike campus in Oregon, and I had no idea who he was. And he treated me like like a son almost. And we became really good friends. I got to know what he accomplished as an athlete and how he actually transcended where he came from to put cycling on the map for people that look like us. So I want to say thank you in front of all these people for being who you are. You're an incredible individual. This is history right here. The first African American to get a medal in track cycling in the 1984 Olympics, which was held right around the corner from where I grew up in Carson, California. So this is always a question I think people want to know. How does a kid from Brooklyn make it to the Olympics?
Well, it came from parenting to begin with, and then again it was a lot of self-discipline as a youth, and listening to my elders of stay in school, learn something every day, and then when you get out and play, you play, like they say now, you play for 60 minutes a day, but we play for 2-3 hours a day. But as a young kid growing up, I just was a well-behaved kid with my spankings along the way, but eventually by Christmas I got a bicycle and never looked back.
Well, I'll tell you, you've inspired a nation. I'm sure you've inspired people all across the world because you race internationally as well. And looking forward to pedaling with you on Saturday, Kelly Benefits Ride, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
100 miles.
The Kelly Benefits Ride, I'm on the front. So Ray Lewis, you out there, you stay to the right while I'm on the road. The cheater be out there.
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you.
Our next individual is Mari Holden, 2000 Olympic silver medalist and same year world champion, now working for the USA Cycling Foundation, Mari Holden.
Mari. All right, here we go. I'm going to warn all of you right now. There's a lot of Olympians coming up, and there's a lot of marginalized communities within our sport. A lot of people that don't look like Mari, don't look like me. I mean, we don't often talk about the women underrepresentation in the sport. Tell us how you got into the sport, and I know you talked about your Olympics, but maybe another accomplishment that you're proud to share.
So I got into the sport because we actually had a cycling club at my school, and it just looked like a lot of fun to me. So I went out and tried it and just fell in love with it and kept going with it. I started in triathlons, and then triathlons turned into bike racing full time. Other proud achievements, I'd say my favorite achievements in cycling are the team wins that we had. So I was on a couple of teams for the Women's Tour de France where we ended up winning the overall, And those were probably the greatest experiences I had, because it's one thing to win on your own, but it's another thing when a team comes together and works well together and really achieves something great as a group.
I think that says a lot about your personality, because you were really good at a totally different event, which is just you against the clock, right? So one year you go to Olympics, you get second place, and then 2 weeks later you go over to Paris, France, or Plouay, France, and you become a world champion. How did that feel?
Well, it was a good few weeks for me. It was, my whole career I was wanting to be an Olympian. Ever since the '84 Olympics, when I saw it in Los Angeles, it really inspired my whole life. I knew I wanted to go to the Olympics. So to actually get over there and then get on the podium was huge, and then to follow it up by winning Worlds. I beat a French woman in France who was supposed to win, so that was even better.
That's awesome. One last question for you. To all the young ladies out here, they want to get into the sport of cycling or just use the bike as a, like Ray said, he lives to ride. What advice would you
I
give
live
them?
to ride too, and I love it. And it's gone through a lot of different phases in my life. When I was a kid, I loved the freedom I got out of riding my bike and kind of the confidence and health benefits. Then I got into the racing, which took on the competitive side of things. And now that I'm older, I go out there and enjoy myself again. And I really believe in the power of the bike and keeping us healthy and just living good lives. So to all the young girls out there, we've been working really hard in our sport to professionalize it so that you all can have a future and be able to make a living racing your bike if that's what you want to do. And it's a great sport, and give it a try.
Thanks so much, Mari. Round of applause.
Okay, our next guest up here, Bobby Julich, originally from Glenwood Springs, Colorado. 1998, one of the few that were podium members of the Tour de France, Bobby Julich.
Bobby.
Yeah.
All right, I got to start this off with a quick story, and I'll make it quick. I was a neo-pro, straight out of college, go Hoosiers, and we're getting ready to do a race in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you remember this. And he's a guy I've watched on TV, and we're in line to do something, and I go, excuse me, you don't know me, but it's my first big bike race in 5 years. Any advice you can give me? Do you remember what you told me?
I think it doesn't matter the amount of pedal strokes that you take on the front, it's the number that you don't take on the front.
It's exactly what you said. It's
Okay.
not about how many you pedal, it's about how many you don't pedal. And it really resonated with me, and I used that tactic in that race and ended up finishing in the top 10, so thank you. Appreciate that. All right, Olympian, Tour de France, all this stuff. A kid from Denver.
Glenwood Springs, a really small town right between Aspen and Vail.
But he's a Broncos fan, so we gotta, we gotta question that a little bit. But your introduction to the sport of cycling was how?
It's funny. I mean, the number one thing of how you get people involved in cycling is just boils down to exposure. So I lived in a town in between Grand Junction, Colorado, and Aspen, and one year, I think it was 1983, these vans came through with all these fancy bikes on the roof. And I asked my dad, hey Dad, what's the deal with all those cars going through with bikes on the roof? He said, I don't know. The next year was the Olympic year, and I asked him the same question. And by that time, he knew that there was a bike race called the Coors Classic right up the road in Aspen. And I said, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. The next year, he goes, when they came through, he goes, do you want to go watch the race? And I was like, absolutely. And that was back before the wall came down. So in the breakaway, there was a Russian, an American, and an East German. And it was like the Russian in the red jersey, the German in the gray jersey, and the US of A, that flag straight down this other guy's jersey. So you know who I rooted for. And he wound up winning the race, and right then and there, I was hooked. Because exposure, right now, go home and tell your friends and your family that maybe never knew anything about cycling. Come out on Saturday, come out on Sunday. Because, man, it's just one question, one response that could get you involved in this sport for life. And, I think you put me under the bus there. Yes, I am a Denver Bronco fan, but this gentleman ruined our season at least once. But the coolest thing is cycling. It doesn't matter if you're Ray Lewis or myself or a total new person, as soon as you put on that kit over there, the Lycra, everyone is at the same level. Everyone is out there for the same overall goal, and that's to be healthy and to have fun. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, how heavy you are, how light you are. Get together and get your friends on bicycles, because that is the way that we're going to change our society.
Excellent. Hold up, don't leave it. I have one more question for you, because you've raced at the highest level of the sports. I mean, all of you have. What does this race means to you and you think to the community around here, bringing such a high-level race here to Baltimore?
Well, first of all, I was blessed growing up in a time where we had races like this almost every weekend. We could pick and choose. That's not quite the case anymore. So like just this one race is going to totally change what people around this area think of bike racing. I used to live up in Philadelphia, and they had the Core States Championship, and in Lancaster where I met you. And that was such a great race, a great way of bringing the community together on that day. So for me, this is massive. This is why I'm here, is because when Steve Bruner asked me if I wanted to be involved in any way, I put my hand up right away and I said, I'm not just coming for the race, I want to come for the whole thing. Tonight, tomorrow, Saturday night, and Sunday.
Thanks so much, Bobby. Thank you. Round of applause for Bobby.
And as we bring up Fred Rodriguez, Bobby's got his own, if you're a cycling fan, one of the best podcasts out there, Bobby and Jens, which can be found on velonews.com.
And Mr. Lewis, if you would like to be on my podcast, slip into my DMs. We'll get you on there.
Our next guest is the only 4-time U.S. professional champion from Los Angeles, now living up in the Bay Area. Fred Rodriguez, also a stage winner of the Tour of Italy, one of only few Americans to do that. Fred.
Fast Freddy. This is amazing for me because I get to be on stage with like people I looked up to when I was coming through the ranks, and you were definitely one of them. Bobby told a story about how all these countries had to race each other, and you see the American flag, and you're like, yeah, that's what I'm rooting for. When you were in the Stars and Stripes after winning in Philadelphia, I was like, that's my guy. I don't know who he is, and his nickname is Fast Freddy. I want to be fast like Freddy. So thanks for being here. Tell us about how it felt to be the 4-time national champion. And back then, I mean, the fields were stacked. You weren't racing slacks.
Well, I mean, to put a little history to the story, the last championship happened after a bit of a retirement, coming back. So I was at the end of my career. So it was a bit of a, towards the end of your career, it's a lot harder to win races and to win a national championship. When I was just about to turn 40. So it was huge. It was an amazing moment. It was a way to end towards the end of my career on a really beautiful note.
Now, I know you were born in Colombia, but you spent most of your life living in California, specifically in Whittier. Can you just tell us what it's like to be a kid growing up in Whittier, which is not the most conducive place to become a cyclist? How did you get to the level of being a pro cyclist out of Whittier?
Well, it's kind of the same story we've all been telling. It's like, cycling, it starts from the community. It starts from the culture that our community creates. And I was lucky enough that during that time, it was the '84 Olympics. My dad was a cyclist, so it was kind of something we enjoyed. And he took me out to watch the Olympics when I was 10 years old. And to see Alexei Grewal win the gold medal, the U.S. gold medal, basically in front of my eyes. We camped out the night before. To be able to be there at the start line to see the guys finish the race was a moment that kind of, cemented this idea is like, I want to do that. How do I do that? Not thinking, like, can I make the Olympics? It was a dream. But that started from that one event. That's what, Bobby talks about, the Course Classic. And that's what the Marion Classic could do for our kids. It's about, that idea, that exposure, that light that they could, our kids could come out and watch these pros and say, I want to do that someday. And it is possible, 10, 20 years later to get to that level. And that's what these races do for us.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Freddie.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Just like to say, tomorrow night, we've got another event. It's a public event down in the Harbor East District on Lancaster and South Central Avenue. all the teams that are going to be racing in the Maryland Cycling Classic supported by United Healthcare will be in there and introduced beginning at 7:30. It's a free event. It's a one-time thing that I think anybody can enjoy. It's going to showcase athletes from 27 different countries. In the Maryland Cycling Classic, we have 111 cyclists from 27 countries, 16 teams composite of all professionals from around the world. So it's exciting times for Baltimore. This time I'd like to bring up Adrian Dishayuti. I always get his name just a tad off, even though I've known him for a long time. He was, if you're a fan of cycling, you may have seen the Rising from Ashes documentary. Is award-winning in 2013. Adrian was the subject matter of that documentary. Grew up in Rwanda, the civil war that decimated that country in 1994. Certainly hit home for him. Coming out of that, he became the first black African to be an Olympian. So think about that for a second. This is the guy right here, historic. And Adrian flew in from Europe yesterday. He lives in Lucca, spends other time in Rwanda. So Adrian, special guest here, proud to have you here. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing here and then why it's so important to be involved in an American race like this?
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for everyone who's here. As Stephen is saying, become 2 times Olympia. Mountain bike and road bike it's not normal for mountain bike 2012 and switch to professional road bike, and Rio was my last one, and I retired 2019, and I still working in cycling, helping the community to get involved the kids starting where they're young, getting skills about bike, because it's something we miss in Rwanda where I born, and I opened my own academy to help the kids in Rwanda where they can start when they're kids and getting about skills on the bike, and it's help, and also to help the community to get a bike, go to school with a bike, and off the school using the bike. One of my nephew, I give him a bike from the community, Quebecer. He got a bike, he got to school, finished school. After become professional, last week he was in 2 Avenue. He living in France now, and it's changing his life. So to ride a bike can change your bike. It's health, can change your life, can make you travel around the world. I come from far away from Rwanda, living in Lucca, and now from Lucca to here, it's amazing. It's so nice. Bike can change your life. And some the kids who want learn how to ride a bike, please the parent. I'm a parent now with the 2 kids. Please the parent help the kid to get a bike, because a bike can change their life and go to school, get more, become the professional, and traveling around the world.
Excellent, Adrian. Thank you. And immediately following this, we will have 3 of our ambassadors here start on a course, and this is the community ride part that will go around here in Patterson Park. That's presented by Bank of America, one of our sponsors. BGE is one of our sponsors, and the City of Baltimore, of course, is our host. Finally, I'd like to bring up Robin Carpenter, originally from Philadelphia, now living in Boston. He is going to be in Sunday's race. The only guest we have here tonight, let's give him a round of applause, Robin Carpenter, the Human Powered Health Team.
Robin, you have to be excited, Ben, you're so close to home.
Oh man, you have no idea. It's been ages since I've raced in the U.S. This is just a great opportunity for us.
So, Pennsylvania. What city in Pennsylvania?
In Philadelphia.
In Philly.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So one of my favorite races that I never did well at was the Philadelphia Classic that went up Manayunk. You have a long list of accomplishments on your resume, but one thing that stood out to me is that you actually got your education. You studied economics, right? But you still race bikes, and now, I mean, you've had in a tremendous last few years won a stage at Tour Britain, which is absolutely killer race in the UK. But now you're here. This is like home soil. How does it feel to race on home soil?
It's always so good to race back in the U.S. with a bunch of people who you know and who aren't trying to push you off the side of the road all the time. But I just want to say, growing up in Philly, I actually grew up in Manayunk on the wall, and watching that was a race that was very, very similar to this one that's about to happen, and that's what got me into cycling. My first ever race was an amateur ride like they do on Saturday, this Saturday, just before the Philly race, and like that got me hooked. Watched that race every year. I had a lemonade stand on the side of the road, on the side of that climb when I was like 8 years old. So it's events like these that really get people excited about the sport and bring new people in.
It's been a theme amongst almost everyone here. We're talking about exposure, so like we shouldn't take it for granted that this opportunity is here. You have to tell everyone about the events this weekend because everyone up here has talked about the exposure that brought them into the sport of cycling. Mine was a little different, but I was still exposed to the sport at some capacity. What would you tell people that's maybe watching right now? You know, sometimes you think, oh, I can't afford to go, or how do I get there? Just tell them what a bike race is like, what it's like to just pack a bag and show up.
Oh man, if you're gonna watch the race on Sunday, one of the coolest things that you can do is go head downtown and find the inside of one of the fast downhill corners and just post up right on the fence, because you're gonna see a pack of 100 plus guys going at 40, 45 miles an hour sometimes on this circuit, battling each other for position, inches away from each other, and you won't see anything else like it in professional sports.
Now, you're racing for a team based out of the U.S. You do a lot of racing in Europe. How's it looking for your team?
We've got a good team here, man. We got options. We have a really, really fast sprinter who loves the chaos. He loves a good, scary downhill sprint, which is what we might have. But we've also got a few guys like myself and Kyle who can roll sort of the early breakaway that might go on the hills on the early part of the circuit out in the county. So we've got options. We're pretty excited.
Well, we love our European racers, but we love you all more, especially you're here in the United States in Baltimore, Charm City. Bring the charm, bring the victory back, all right? We're counting on you.
Can't wait.
All right, Robin.